Welcome back, y'all. I hope you guys are getting so much out of this. I hope you are thinking about the stories that you want to tell, reflecting on the memories. I'm hoping that more things pop into your head as you are going through this process. You guys should have journaled. You guys should have, wrote down, the memories that pop into your head. This is an ongoing process. Know that this is not overnight and that it's going to take some time, and really just enjoy the process. Take advantage of that process, that moment, that the healing time, the healing space, the therapeuticness of, reflection. It is a beautiful thing. All right, so we are getting into some of the nitty gritty. So, the reason why you are here, the creative ways to write a memoir. So, like I said, I'm not here to tell you to write a 300-page book, right? That's beautiful in itself, but I want to tap into more creative ways and allow you to tell your story in a way that reflects who you are, what story you are telling, and yeah, let's get it started. So, creative ways to writing a memoir, part one. All right, so remember, there is no one size fits all, there's no playbook, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want to do, especially if you're publishing it yourself, right? So I thought about some really cool ideas on how to write a memoir. So one of the things that I absolutely love is photography, photos, photos that can find themes, or you can find themes in those photos. So collecting photos that represent your theme and tell those short stories of the photo. So I imagine this, a picture of a tree from the backyard, and you tell a story about that tree. And so maybe your whole entire book will be about this house, your house, and the stories that are weaved through it. So, like, maybe, the photo of where you put your handprints in the cement when they've built your house, right? So you're having photos, you're talking about these photos, you're telling the stories of these pieces of your past that, tell a story that is part of a theme. Another thing is a recipe book. Y'all, do you guys have recipes that were passed down from your family? Do you have stories of how these recipes came to be? Your recipe book you can make up these recipes, and you can tell a story of triumph, like why you choose chocolate ice cream with sprinkles, whatever recipe it may be, and you can talk about how the chocolate relates to, a subtle sweetness in moving on or something like that. So whatever theme you're talking about, you can come up with recipes or gather them from your past. And then you're telling a story, the memories from those recipes. Another one is a cocktail recipe. So if you're into cooking and being in the kitchen, if you have, so I'm in the process of writing a memoir called Wine and Watercolor. And so my book will not be word for word for word. It's going to have a whole bunch of different stuff. So, of course, there's going to be watercolor paintings. There's going to be wine. And it's going to talk about a specific time in my life. Basically, life after divorce. And just finding my purpose. So you can come up with really cool ways to put that into your story or create it in a way that's beautiful and unique. Another thing is 6-word memoirs. What if you created a whole 20-page book of 6-word memoirs off of one theme in your life? Have you ever heard of 6-word memoirs? So basically, you're just writing a lesson or a memory in 6 words or less. Life is all lemons. Make some lemonade. I don't know what. I just made that off the top of my head. But if you look it up, those are all over the world. Like I've seen people do it as a competition or a challenge or an addition. So maybe your 6 word memoirs, just add on to extra stuff. So those are really fun and very creative and very, very quick, right? Very simple. All right. Micro memoirs. So no 300 pages, but you can write short stories. This is a specific time in your life. And it can be about anything. And I say micro because they're small. It's just an essay of your life. Maybe you can come up with lists. So I have an example right here. So maybe you are traveling and you want to create a list of things that you need based off of your story of traveling. So, for example, here it says, new school, 11th grade, new city. That is maybe the title. It could be what I'm talking about. So my list would have black sunglasses, $20. Potato chips, Little Debbie, bottle of water, photo album, letter from Zach. So this would be in my page, on that, whatever page I'm on, and then I'll talk about that experience, right? So the day when my mother said, we have to go, we don't have time, and we can't bring anything. With only seconds to grab a few things, I made sure I had a photo album with my best friends. Who knows when I'll see them again? My heart dropped. Zach had just told me how he really felt about me. The letter he left in my locker, I threw it in the bag. As I walked into this foreign school, I made sure to cover my puffy red eyes from last night's crying session. Grabbing my bag with the last of the snacks, I walk in, head high, ignoring everyone. So, I really like this. I enjoy the list. It helps pull words together. It pulls the story together. And the theme for this could be moving on or loss or friendship and more. So if you have a story about loss and you want to talk about all the loss that you've experienced in your life, you can come up with the list of things to help you or that you needed to help you get through this loss. So maybe it's a journal, maybe it's your favorite pen. I don't know what it is, but I think this is a really, really cool idea of putting together a short book about lists and putting it into story format. Another one is poetry. So I have a few books that is poetry, but it's all about a certain theme of someone's life. That's pretty much a lot of poetry books, right? You know that it's about love, a whole poetry book about love, right? And so you can explore themes in a period of time through poems. So thinking about prose, I'm not going to teach that now, but looking into those and helping you, put your story into poetry format and then tell it in a book, right? So the next one I have is ABC 123. I went to a writers conference and I listened to these women read their memoirs. And it wasn't a huge memoir. It was just a story. It was a personal narrative, right? And it was an ABC list. So she literally talked about a specific theme and then told a story for each letter. So maybe if we're talking about loss, maybe the first word would be acceptance. Accepting the fact that I had to move on, and you tell about that part of your life, right? And then maybe D would be death or Damon, a person. And you could talk about how you lost that relationship, that feeling, or whatever it may be. But yes, so it can be a chronological order, 1, 2, 3, step by step. That I think is super cool as well. So, as a reminder, there are no rules to how you create your memoir. It is your truth, and you have to be honest with yourself and your readers. That is a quote by me. No. The second part of creative ways to writing a memoir. So these are all about techniques. So I give you a few creative ways, and I'm hoping that you can take time and come up with your own that reflects who you are and what your story is that you want to tell. So it doesn't have to be a micro memoir. It doesn't have to be a list. It can be different ways. Whatever it may be, it is yours. You own it. And now we're going to go into techniques, because this is where writing can get a little, it gets really exciting, but it also can get a little complicated, right? We want our words to hold so much meaning, so much value. We want how we feel, what we're thinking, to come across to our readers so that it can connect with them. I've read so many things where it's just like, it's so boring, and it's supposed to be a story, but I'm like, I want to imagine myself there. I want to imagine myself in your shoes. I want to see, I want to taste, I want to feel what you felt, what you saw, what you tasted, and I want to enjoy that experience, or understand, sympathize, empathize with what you are telling me. So these are all about techniques. So remember, I'm an English teacher, and I write, or I teach literature and words and all of that. So this is, you get the teacher in me right now. Okay, so let's talk about these words, right? So we have pretty, beautiful, exquisite, gorgeous, stunning, fabulous. So thinking about weight, which one just seems so like 100% amazing? Like if someone were to come up to you and be like, "You're pretty," that's cool, that's nice. Anything can be pretty, right? That's pretty. It doesn't hold that much weight. It doesn't have a lot of value to it, right? But what about exquisite? First of all, that just sounds immaculate. It sounds amazing. Exquisite. Imagine someone say, "Oh my gosh, you look exquisite today," or whatever, right? So just taking things from levels. So maybe you were pretty one day, but then all of a sudden, once you realize, who you are, and you started exuding those amazing qualities about you, you become more exquisite. You're stunning, you're fabulous. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical sense. It could be internal, mental, emotional, So thinking about the power in your words. What words do you use? All right, so let's talk about some techniques. We are going to talk about some literary devices. Remember that your word choice matters. Like thinking about like what we just talked about, pretty or exquisite, or you look nice, you look beautiful. Like you can tell the difference in your words, right? And then thinking about the word like but. So if I'm saying you're pretty, but that cancels everything out, right? So you want to make sure that the word you use, how you use it, really tells what you're talking about, how you really feel. Okay? You want to paint a picture. You want people to know that you want them to be there with you, right? You don't want to be in this alone. You want them to come and join you in your world, right? And just remember, like, there's some really whack words, and I said one, really whack words. So words like really and very, they suck. It's just emptiness. It's like calories, empty calories, right? We don't like empty calories. We want our calories to count. So looking up words such as, like, an example, instead of very quick, you can say rapidly. Instead of really powerful, say compelling, right? So you want to minimize, words that are fluff, right? We don't want fluff. We want depth, right? We want something dense, and it's hard to swallow sometimes, right? Reading stuff that's just easy is no fun. So yes, let's see. So it is what you say and how you say it, at least when it comes to writing. And that's in life too. Like, you can say one thing, but if you, how you say it, how you come to me can mean a totally different way. Like, I can say, I can say something really negative, but I'm thinking it's positive, but it's how I said it. Like, thinking about, a lot of microaggressions, right? So a lot of people will say, oh, you speak really well for a black girl. That sounds like a compliment. Kind of. Actually not. They think it might be a compliment, but it's not. But anyways, I'm getting besides the point. We are moving on. All right, some more. So when you paint that picture, when you're telling them how things taste, that's imagery. You want them to feel. You're going to use your 5 senses: taste, see, feel, hear, and smell. You're going to describe the setting. You want them to be there. So making sure you're using those words. So an example here, we have the tiny bristles tickled my neck, sending shivers down my spine. First of all, I just got the chills just reading that out loud. I could just say, what does that even mean? So the tiny bristles tickle. So we don't know what it is. So bristles. Oh, the bristles touched my neck. Okay. Tell me what it was. It sent chills down your spine, right? So you can see that there's tiny. That's a visual thing. Tickled, that feels, and the shivers is a feeling as well, right? I love imagery. I love painting a picture. All right, another one is simile. So simile and metaphor are similar. They're pretty much the same thing, but the only difference is a simile uses words like or as. So he yelled like a mother who lost her child. So that to me is telling me that she was mad. She was going crazy. I'm like, shoot, if I lost my child, I would go insane too. And so he could just yell. Oh, he yelled. Okay, give me some depth. Give me some context. Give me some meaning behind it, right? And then we have a metaphor, comparison without using like or as. So Michael was my rock, solid and dependable. So the metaphor, he was a rock. And I don't even have to say a person's name. It was like, you could just say he was like a rock or whatever it may be. So we know that rocks are solid. We know they're dependable. You are explaining how this person is in comparison to something else to get your point across. Another thing that I really like is personification. So explaining things with human features, right? So things like a bottle or a clock or the drums. So here's an example. The card stared at me. Eyes could see my soul. So, oh wait, I didn't finish. It began speaking to me. The lips mumbled, stay away. So this could be like a tarot reading or, somebody reading some cards to someone. Do cards have eyes? No. Do they talk? No. But figuratively, they can, right? So that's personification. Anything putting human features onto an object, right? Something that is not alive. So that's personification. So understanding your words. So denotation versus connotation. So I teach my kids, denotation is a definition from the dictionary. So remember, denotation, definition, dictionary. right? And then connotation is the meaning or the feeling and emotion behind a word. So if we use the word snake, we know it's a reptile with no legs. That's the denotation. But a snake can represent different things. And we're going to get into that a little bit more in the next slide. But a snake can represent sneaky or transformation or whatever. So I don't trust him. He's like a snake. So that is a simile, like a snake. But the meaning, all his snaky ways. Oh, so he's a sneak. He's conniving. We got to be careful with him, right? So remembering denotation and connotation, so the meaning behind it. So when your readers are reading your story, you want to give them depth. So I would highly recommend, digging deeper into the connotation of your writing. And here's some more. I won't go into detail about all of them, but you'll have this in your workbook. But when we go back to the snake, that's symbolism, right? So using objects or situations or elements to create meaning. So when you think about the color red, it represents love. So if you're painting a story where it's full of love, maybe you will pull in words such as the roses that he laid at the floor, or when he came and he was wearing all red, whatever it may be. It may not be part of the memoir. It could be a different story. But thinking about colors and animals, maybe you're writing about, a rock that has been passed down from family to family. And so that rock represents family. That rock can represent, the solid foundation that you and your family have, whatever it may be. Thinking about these memories, when you go down memory lane, think about objects in your world, in your life that has happened, that you have added value to it. A sofa. It could be a sofa, or it could be the first place where you lost your virginity, right? And it was with someone so amazing, and now it's just, you never want to get rid of this sofa because it has so much, to it. All the conversations that you had on there. You can turn objects into a symbol. It doesn't matter what it is. So you just want to think about the words. You want to make sure your readers are staying connected to you and the story. So here's an example, okay? We're going to put some different techniques into this paragraph, and I want you to try and figure out what some are, right? The vibrations I felt as I pounded the wall with my fist. I was enraged. His face, like a lion, devouring its prey. I wanted to tear it to pieces. Clouds floated from his mouth, quickly turning into daggers with each new word. I turned around to pretend it wasn't happening. The daggers pierced through. I looked down at my breast, and the tips dripped blood, my blood. That's very visual, right? I can feel the rage because I'm banging on the wall and pounding on the wall, and I can feel the vibrations through my body, right? I see daggers. So it's a metaphor, right? So his words were daggers. They were sharp. They hurt, right? And they stabbed me in the back because he was supposed to be, I don't know what, I just made that up when I was writing this book, but that sounds really good, doesn't it? Yes. All right, so before we continue to the next video, you guys have some homework. I want you guys I put in 3 prompts, one called Meeting the Parents. So you're going to describe how it was meeting your boo's parents or family for the first time. And you're going to talk, don't just say it was fun or it was scary. I want you to get in deep. What was it like? Was it like falling from a 20-foot building with nothing on you to keep you secure? Was it, cotton candy on a hot summer day, sweet and beautiful and necessary? Or, sorry, that's me just going on a tangent. All right. The second one is your favorite concert. Like, describe what it was like. Did you feel the music in your body? Were you seeing the person on stage and you're staring into their eyes? How close were you? Think about that. Were you far away? Think about number 3, your most prized possession. So this can be turned into symbolism, right? So whatever it is, what does it represent for you? So there are the journal prompts. Make sure you guys do that. I'm not checking. You can send it to me if you want to. I'm definitely open to, talking to you, because that will be part of this coaching one-on-one that I'll tell y'all about later on in the session. So I'm excited. But just remember that, this memoir is not going to happen overnight unless you're writing, micro memoirs or, the 6-word memoirs. But this is a process, and I highly recommend that you enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, understand the lessons, and see, the themes that weave through your life. Yes, journal. And if you don't want to write, you should have a phone app that records your voice. So that is something to think about as well. All right, see you in the next video.